everyone. I'm Charlie Tolhurst, and welcome to the Tonight Show podcast for today, the 3rd of October. Wow, have we gone into October already? Wow, lots to talk about tonight. And I'm joined by late party supporter Zach James for all latest news. Hello, Zach.
Hello, Charlie. Hello, mate.
Right, now it's we got so much to talk about tonight. This is crazy. Right. We're going to start off with the news. We're going to come on to obviously what's been happening in the Middle East at some point in the show tonight, as that's an important issue at the moment. Um, Now, the opposition party today, the Conservative Party, had their apparently had a party conference the other day and leadership challenges as well. Now, the final four candidates for that were James Cleverly, Kemi Badenoch, Robert Jenrick and Tom Tugendhat, who were all in the party's final four selection for opposition leader of the opposition after Rishi Sunak announced he was standing down a few months ago. Now, well, it wasn't exactly a great day for them, as clearly no one has envisaged the Tory party as clearly 14 years trying to get them right round on a lot of things, policy ideas being tested by the audience and by presenters as well, journalists. And yes, clear to me, Zach, that for the opposition, it has been an interesting week. And what do you make to this? James Cleverly as well was another nomination for this. What do you make to this? Because clearly the Conservatives don't know what leader they want to pick because they all seem to have similar ideas and not much in the way of creativity.
Well, this year's conference was one with a difference, and we can understand why it was a year of difference because they don't really have a leader at the moment. The leader's speech was barely 10 minutes long, or 15 minutes long, or the temporary leader's speech, shall we say, on soon to be ex-leaders. Was like 10 minutes long on a Sunday. And then the rest of the week, it was all focused about the future Conservative leadership candidates. So James Cleverly, Tom Tugendhat, Kemi Badenoch, James Cleverly, Tom Tugendhat, Kemi Badenoch, Robert Jenrick, as well. They're the final four at the moment. Going all head to head for the battle to become Conservative Party leader. Whilst I was watching it, bits and pieces of it, and they all had their separate Q&As and all had their 20-minute speeches on Wednesday. It was I was wondering at one point, the Conservative leadership race up until now has been quite quiet, not been much being said about it. Now there appears to be a lot more headline grabbers out there. Let's start off with Kemi Badenoch's howler on the Sunday shows, especially on Times Radio, where she seemed to imply at first that maternity pay was excessive, and that it was a bit of it was too much burden on business. Well, that's all right if you're living in the 17th century and women were oppressed and all that sort of thing then, but no, in the year 2024. It's quite an extraordinary thing to say. Nobody asked for maternity pay, and yet she brought it up somehow. She then sort of denied that she actually said it, even though she kind of said it. She blamed the media, she blamed the BBC and all that sort of things. I mean, come on, for God's sake, cheer up, woman. It's everyone else's fault apart from hers, as always is, with Kevin Badenoch. But yeah, that was, she managed to get herself in hot water. The top two really managed to get themselves in quite a bit of hot water. Let's talk about Robert Jenrick, who's probably one of the favourites for the Conservative Party leadership. Talking about a campaign video that he did and posted on social media about wanting to leave the ECHR. He supports leaving the ECHR. He wants to leave the ECHR to stop illegal immigration. Well, that's a fantasy in one hand. But then again, attention focused on the fact that he then included some military people in a campaign video where they sort of suggested they're actually under ECHR rules, they're actually killing people and not actually detaining terrorists, and they're killing them instead in operation. Now, I have to say, it was a bizarre video in the first place. It was quite a shocking one, but it brought a lot of attention. I mean, Tom Tugendhat was deeply frustrated by the video. James Cleverly was as well. I mean, the rest of them was deeply frustrated with the video. Kemi Baden, I think, said something about it as well. But yeah, it was a very disparaging video, and quite frankly, a very inappropriate one, I should say, as well. Very, very inappropriate. There was some undertones in that, which obviously was very conservative, and some would say offensive. But the whole Robert Jenrick's idea of leaving the ECHR it's for balloons from my view as well. And the one that seemed to impress the most, funny enough, was James Cleverly. Now, he actually got the best reception out of Conservative Party members in the hall there, which surprised him, but his performance went down like a storm in the hall Wednesday. You talk about Conservatives going back to being normal again and all that sort of thing as well. And, everyone should stop blaming everyone else apart from themselves. And he had a point, actually. He did well on the Wednesday. He did really rather well in terms of what the review said. So, will we see a late surge for James Cleverly in this race? I mean, right now you think he'd be a bit of an outsider, but his performance went down really well in the hall, and especially around the journalists as well. So we'll have to see whether he's made a little bit of a comeback. Next week, the Parliament is back, and the Conservative Party will be whittling down to just 2 MPs as well. But yeah, it will be down to 2 MPs next week because there'll be votes, I believe, some point. I can't remember which days.
And Labour will be one short.
Yeah, but yeah, it'll be two MPs left after the end of next week somehow, and then we're going to be into the membership voting. But who will be the 2 MPs that are left in this race? I have no idea. At the moment, you think it'll be one of either Kemi Baden or Robert Jenrick, but you also think, given James Cleverly's decent performance, that actually he may end up sneaking in there potentially as well. Who knows? I think this race is closer than what we imagined, but yeah, it will be interesting to see.
And then, by the way, they all criticised Nigel Farage in that speech. So all the speeches had Nigel Farage's criticism, and then Farage went on X, apparently claimed that none of the Conservatives have any moral authority at all, and yes, basically blamed Reform for the rise in Labour getting in. Well, the questions are, as I said, Labour will be one part MP short. Rosie Duffield, Zach, how do you feel about her resigning?
Rosie Duffield. It's a very interesting one. I'm in some ways not surprised. I think there was for some time some distance between Rosie Duffield and the Labour leadership for some time. I mean, forgetting about the trans stuff, which I know is a hot topic, and she's very woman's only right, understandably in some areas. And but the reason that she decides to resign is apparently the sleaze and hypocrisy of the Labour government. Some pointed out that it was very surprising of Rosie Duffield to resign, given the fact that she'd only been elected as Labour MP like 3 months ago, like literally less than 3 months ago. She was literally elected as a Labour MP, and now that she's decided in a short period of time to give that up, I don't think this is quite the loss for Labour as some making it out to be. I mean, there was some distance at the time. She was very openly critical of the leadership for a while now. I think there was some distance, but I don't think this is such a big deal. But it does raise the question of, do you need by-election again? I mean, okay, you got example like Christian Wakeford jumping ship to Labour from the Conservatives and saying that he didn't need a by-election, and it's true. I think all sides need to sort of, sort this out and get either call a by-election or not. But is it a big deal as it made out to be? No. I think there'll be a lot of Labour in people inside that actually privately are happy that she went, because she was becoming a nuisance for the leadership, and she was constantly complaining half the time. But I also find it's quite surprising as well that, given all the sleaze, the one thing that broke her was sleaze, and it's interesting to see as well how she decided to quit the Labour Party because of that, or resign the Labour, which shall we say, and yet she stayed throughout the whole premiership of when Jeremy Corbyn was in charge, and there was rife anti-Semitism through that. I mean, it's surprising it's just took until that to then say Taddy-O. She's got some points. I mean, she sort of criticised Keir Starmer's decision to allow his son in some way. Oh, sorry, his son, his children, son in some ways, to do GCSEs in a flat that was
Creepy
that was
scandal.
done by Lord Ali. But I also understand the reason. She was very critical with it. She doesn't seem the sympathy in that one. I was thinking, well, you'd sort of take your children, see if your children in the public spotlight. Would you want that in? I mean, Keir Starmer's very protective about his children, but yeah, it's an exit that doesn't really surprise. I think we're in Labour people. I don't think it's not a big deal. I think it's been made out to be. It's not the huge loss. I think it was very disgruntled. It was not something like completely obvious. That was like huge name. That went. So yeah, if you ask me, it's not huge. It's obviously another member down for the Labour Party, but it's still got massive majority in the day. So it's not going to make too much of a difference. And Pat McFadden did a pretty good job, to be fair, on the broadcast rounds on the Sunday morning when news came out. That he sort of he did his defence quite well.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how Labour copes without Rosie Duffield. She's now standing she's now an independent. So, yes, UKIP get another MP there as well. Moving on now to the next part of this show, where I'm going to be talking about the US presidential debate, or the vice presidential debate between JD Vance and Tim Walz. Zach, what's your takeaways from this debate?
Score draw, if you ask me. Both had their approval ratings go up after the debate yesterday. I think in some ways it benefits JD Vance's camp and Donald Trump's camp a little bit better than compared to Tim Walz's thing. But they both actually came out quite well. I think sort of Waltz won it towards the end, when JD sort of dodged the January 6th question and then started attacking moderators as well. I think from that perspective, that was when I think Waltz had a slight win over Vance. But actually, in terms of if you were listening as a neutral for the first time, they sort of came across both pretty well. They both did their defences quite well. So yeah, I think mainly score draw actually on that one. And actually, it was really surprising how they both came out well. I think obviously JD, the fact that his ratings sort of went up a little bit, likability ratings went up a little bit after that debate. But so did Tim Walz at the same time. It's just to me that they both did, for the debate stage, it was very policy focused. It wasn't personal attacks. So I think on the policy substance of it was a very good debate. And I think both camps would come out happy with the way they perform. It won't make too much of a difference in terms of the presidential race. I mean, traditionally, vice presidential debates don't tend to matter as much as actual presidential debates. But I think both sides would be pleased with the way the candidates performs. But yeah, I think both will be happy.
Well, let's play for you some key highlights from that debate. Have a listen to this video.
become friends with school shooters. I've seen it.
We have so much to get to, Senator.
Those
We have
laws
so
have been on
much.
the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The
We want to have.
app has not been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created, Margaret.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut. We have so much we want to get to. Thank you for explaining the legal process.
I will be the first to tell you, I have poured my heart into my community. I've tried to do the best I can, but I've not been perfect, and I'm a knucklehead at times.
The question was, can you explain the
No, just-
discrepancy?
All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said. So I was in Hong Kong and China during the democracy protests.
Hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars of American taxpayer money on solar panels that are made in China. Number one, you're going to make the economy dirtier. We should be making more of those solar panels here in the United States of America. Some of them are, Tim, but a lot of them are being made overseas in China.
I would just ask that, did he lose the 2020 election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future. Did Kamala Harris censor Americans from speaking their mind in the wake of the 2020 COVID situation?
That is a damning non-answer.
It's a damning non-answer for you to not talk about censorship.
There's a debate there. To be honest with you, this capital rights stuff is certainly going back on the press again. I'm tired of questions like that all the time being asked about capital rights and election stealing when that's 4 years ago, and we just move on. Exactly what JD Vance said there. So there were some key highlights as well from that debate. Have yours say, who do you think is going to be president? I think Trump looking more likely now after that performance last night. The assessments for me really were that I think Vance was clearly the much better candidate. I think he actually done better than Trump in that debate, to be honest. I think Trump did get himself together, but he had a shaky start. But he got himself recovered very quickly. So that's what I'm going to say. I think that Republicans will win back the election. Obviously, comment down below, guys, what you think. That's all I'm going to say. Now, moving on now to some more news regarding the UK now. Zach, I'm going to go to Plank of the Week this week because my one is an absolute heartbreaking story. And, you know, knife crime is the last thing on our minds at the moment. But I want to talk to you about the youngest victims of knife crime in the UK. Yes. 12-year-olds. Yes. I don't get this. Okay. What the hell? What is this? What the hell? Seriously. Okay. This was a report of a Wolverhampton stabbing. Okay. 2 boys believed to be the youngest knife murderers detained for a minimum of 8 years and 6 months when they killed 19-year-old Sean Sisai in a machete attack in Wolverhampton. I have to say, you know, this is absolutely vile. 12-year-olds getting knives. What the hell is wrong with people? What the hell is wrong with parents? You know, this stuff makes me upset. Look at this. This guy here, okay, was a complete innocent man. You know, he was doing about his... This was in November last year. They were thought to be the youngest children convicted of a murder in Britain since Robert Thompson and John Venables, who were both aged 11 when they were found guilty in 1993 of the killing of 2-year-old James Bolger. The judge, Mrs. Justice Tipples, previously rejected a media application to lift the reporting restrictions to prevent Mr. Sehi's murderers being identified. The victims are from a small Caribbean island in Anguilla. Told Sky News they were in a lot of pain and whether their son was calling for mummy or daddy when he got attacked. Apparently, the judge said he could not see which of the boys had inflicted a 23-centimetre wound, which almost passed all the way through his body. And then a machete was found in one of the boys' bed. So this is the investigation as well. It also shows police broke one of the convicted boys wearing a machete across his chest as well. Mr. Seaside was utterly defenceless when he was attacked. The trial also came on. So this was an investigation into the whole thing. Apparently his ashes were scattered on his favourite beach. And there was also a forensic blue tent where the investigation took place. 12-year-old Zach. absolutely vile. I think this definitely deserves a nomination.
It makes you wonder, what is a 12-year-old doing with a knife? Why? Why has society allowed us to see 12-year-olds stab people? I just can't believe it. It shocks me. They're thought to be the youngest children convicted of murder since Robert Thompson and John Venables, who were both age 11. I mean, that was a rare case. This is a case that comes quite common now. I just can't believe that 12-year-olds have the audacity and the ability to start using knives and offensive weapons. What are they even doing? How do they even allow to go out with that sort of thing? I just don't understand it. Well, how are kids being taught? Well, not being taught, but how are kids being allowed or even get themselves in access to knives? It's just shocking. It's a shameful indictment on society. It really is. And a poor family has lost, people. They've lost, the poor family have lost Sean Sneezy, who didn't need to be attacked and doesn't deserve to be attacked. And it's a really, again, sad indictment on society when kids start picking up knives and doing that sort of thing as well. It really is.
Zach, I mean, questions around parenting of these children, the fact that these parents probably just let their kids go out and do whatever they want, don't have no responsibility for their kids at all. Go out, allow them to pick knives up and do something like this is horrible. And we've seen as well the rising young people picking vapes up. This is a similar thing. Yes, vape. I don't vape. I don't smoke or vape. I'm sure you don't, Zach, as well. But this is a common thing. I mean, that's why they're over the age of 18. But knives, completely different. These are weapons that can actually machetes. These are weapons that can kill people. And I will tell you this now, all right? I know I'm going to get personal with this, but I nearly got attacked. I nearly actually got targeted at secondary school by a student. I'm not going to name him on my show. It was an anonymous person, but I nearly got targeted. I was one of the targets on this list. And he got suspended from the school because he held a machete against another kid. And I just think, when and especially what happened here, that a 12-year-old done this in the middle of an open public space in Wolverhampton is right. It's just absolutely heartbreaking. It's just so disgusting and malicious, I think. I mean, Zach, clearly, prison sentences, and in general, prison sentences for these have got to be very, very firm indeed.
I mean, the prison sentence is youngest murder, so you could argue that might be correct sentence. They're 12-year-old. They wouldn't be mature enough to, send the whole life. But nevertheless, as well, again, the whole question is, how do these 12-year-olds get knives? How are they going around with machetes and weapons to kill? It still shocks me. And that these people, these children that have done this will have to, they're going to have to go into life next time, thinking, what have I just done? And as they grow up, realize the consequences of their actions, because they will all be remembered for all the totally wrong reasons. They've lost their life and education now. And yeah, they're just going to be remembered for the wrong things.
This happened at my school. Well, luckily it didn't happen as an attack, but when you bring machetes in and this thing happens, is sickening. It's just completely and utterly sickening. And the horrors run through your brain. The horrors just eclipse your brain as fast as anything, really. As fast as a pinball pulling down the pinball machine. It's crazy. I don't know what to say. I just think I'm full of emotion right now, and I'm actually very livid with what young some parents are doing with their kids. It's not every parent. I do apologise when I'm going on a rant about this on my show tonight, guys, on YouTube. But however, though, I really want to address why this news story is so important to the whole general population, not just the whole population here in the UK, but around the world, and why governments and mayors in particular really need to tackle knife crime effectively. Because whatever side of the argument you're on, right or left or anything, knife crime is an important issue. And when you hear murders like this, it is a reminder to all the bleak consequences of why knife crime can endanger lives and cause unnecessary death. Zach, what is your nomination for Plank of the Week this week?
My one, it's quite an easy one. This week it goes to Iran and Hezbollah. We should update you what's happening in the Middle East this week because Iran has struck again. They've decided to launch their second attack. This is going to be what was their second attack on Israel in this current war at the moment, with nearly 200 ballistic missiles being launched from Iran into Israel. This is obviously a huge attack. The scenes that we saw with obvious interceptors and explosions and bangs in Israel was hard to watch sometimes. Now, thank God for the Iron Dome. Thank God for that, because it protected most of the buildings there, most of the things there. There was some damage, not much, but some hits. And actually, there's no obvious injury, deaths there, anything like that, for basically from the Iran attack. So that's good as well. But nevertheless, as well, this has been a very difficult week for the Middle East with Iran's attack. And obviously the death, the murder of the Hezbollah leader as well. I mean, that's an achievement in its own right, I have to say, by Israel. But now that we have seen in the last couple of days that Israel has made its move into Lebanon as well, and unfortunately, still innocent civilians are part of this, I'm afraid, as well. And we've seen constant bombardment of Beirut in Lebanon as well. It is a very active situation at the moment. Israel is being empowered at the moment because of the death of the Hezbollah, former Hezbollah leader, and because of the fact that they're having the momentum. They're going to get supported now because obviously Iran has tried to attack them, and you would, given the fact there was 200 ballistic missiles, you would expect Israel will respond in some way or another. I mean, they could attack their oil refinery, could go for the nuclear parts of it, as well, the nuclear sites as well, which is obviously developing Iran's nuclear weapons and all that sort of thing as well. So, yeah, Israel is making moves. They're making moves as well. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of diplomatic communication through the back channels. But yeah, there's as you can see, most flights have been suspended. The British citizens in Lebanon are being flown away on charter flights being produced by government as well. But in terms of the plank of the week, it's definitely Iran and Hezbollah. They're for something of a terrorist group, that they are being annihilated at the moment by Israel. Israel, if you turn it from a strategic military point of view and not killing the civilians point of view, which I think they've not done a good job on, from the military point of view, they're doing well to get rid of Hezbollah targets. And I would not be surprised if they do a significant response soon to Iran's actions. Obviously, it's not what the people in the Middle East want. I mean, it's a very hot-headed situation at the moment. But Iran, planks of the week for me, based on their actions and what they've done to Israel.
I couldn't agree more. I definitely think that's the main nomination this week. And you can see here with the flights, British Airways announced that it will suspend flights to Tel Aviv until the end of the month. It joins a host of airlines cancelling Middle East routes due to the ongoing conflict. German courier Lufthansa has suspended flights to Tehran until 26th of October, Tel Aviv until the end of the month, Beirut to the end of November. KLM has also suspended flights to Tel Aviv till the end of the year. Also, as well, in other new airlines, Air India, Cathay Pacific, Delta, United, EasyJet, Ryanair, Wizz Air have all suspended flights to Israel in recent days. Lebanon's Middle East Airlines is one of the last carriers still offering flights in and out of Beirut Airport. So, yes, airlines definitely becoming very hit hard, and obviously, many evacuations are taking place right now to avoid escalating the conflict even further. So hopefully we, or just to anyone watching the podcast tonight from them countries, particularly Israel and Lebanon, we hope you're all safe, because war is the last thing we want. Bloodshed, and of course, bloodshed, missiles raining down, bombs, innocent civilians being cut down. It's just horrifying to watch. So my thoughts are with all those who've lost loved ones out in the Middle East at the moment. Not great news as well, and this is certainly not going to be good news, Zach. And I'm going to move on to the sport now. This is going to be worrying tensions. I mean, if this conflict still goes ahead, there's going to be worrying tensions about relationships with Formula One, and particularly hosting the Bahrain Grand Prix next year. I'm hoping that will still go ahead.
I don't think it'll be too much, Ferrari. This is what's happening in the Middle East. It's happening elsewhere. It's not happening anywhere near like the likes of Qatar or Abu Dhabi. They're not having any issues in terms of getting involved in this war. I mean, so it won't be too much of a worry. I'm sure they can figure out other routes if necessary, but yeah, I'm not really worried about that at all for F1 perspective.
Well, that's all we're going to say. The F1 certainly will be going ahead. Obviously, not till the 20th of October, as well. And I have to include another nomination for the Plank of the Week this week. Formula One's decision to involve rookie sprint races. I think what an absurd idea that is. The fact that rookies are going to race on a sprint track, that has now been axed by F1. Thank you for that as well. Now, moving on now to some news. We're going to go straight into football now. Lots of football to talk about. Obviously, we've got Premier League, we've had Champions League this week as well. Champions League fixtures included Aston. In a shot in the Champions League yesterday, as Aston Villa beat Bayern Munich. Oh wow! Nobody thought Aston Villa could actually beat Bayern Munich.
I know.
Vincent Kompany must be very disappointed with that. 1-0. Wow. As well, in terms of match day 2, Champions League, Borussia Dortmund thrashed Celtic 7-1. Manchester City beat Slovan Bratislava 4-0 away. Arsenal were 2-0 winners against Paris Saint-Germain or PSG. For short, Liverpool were 2-0 winners at Bologna. And yes, that was the Premier League action in the UEFA Champions League. Europa League as well, I will cover that right now for you as well, because I believe Tottenham were playing in that the other day. And I think Manchester United
tonight. They're all playing tonight, actually.
Yes, we did have some updates on the Manchester United game. That was match day 1. Match day 2, it finished 3-3 in the Man U Porto match, and they got a red carded United. And despite losing the other day, I think, from what I remember, Rangers lost 4-1 against Lyon, and Tottenham, I believe, won their match as well. So, what's your takeaway from the European football this week?
And just to mention as well, Charlie, what I was going to say this, there was other British sides as well involved in other areas as well. I'm going to go, but yeah, Man United was very, very lucky. Red cards for the second game running for Harry Maguire. Now, if you're wondering, well, yeah, he got red card last time, so why he would be doing it this time as well? Well, it's a bit different for UEFA rules and FA rules. They're slightly different competitions, so they have different rules on participation. I believe if you get a red card in the Premier League, it only applies to FA competitions. So yeah, he as well. But Harry Maguire had that 3-match ban overturned, by the way, that red card, so he's available for next match anyway. But he will definitely miss the next 3 matches, next couple of matches, presumably, because of his red card there as well. And I don't expect that one's going to be overturned as well. What's the other matches? Rangers tonight. Rangers took part against Lyon. They won last time. This one they got thrashed 4-1 by French side Lyon as well. Yeah, so it wasn't quite the result they wanted. Actually, it was a poor week for Celtic as well. I mean, bloody hell, 7-1 thrashing against Borussia Dortmund. I mean, I know they're normally good Dortmund, but blimey, you don't want to be using 4-1 as well. Man United was very lucky, very, very lucky. They could have lost tonight, but managed to get that late goal to keep it within it as well. And I'm very lucky there. So lucky as well. And as you mentioned as well, Tottenham won as well. But Tottenham won 3-0 against Man United on the Sunday, and they won tonight as well. Let's talk about the UEFA Conference League, because there was other British teams involved in that. Actually, there's several British teams actually involved in that one. Let me mention Larne, because this is the first time the Northern Irish side has been in the European competition. I'm afraid it didn't get off to a good start. Conor McKendry, 90th minute as well, red card for Larne, and they lost 3-0 against Mouldy as well. The other ones that are taking part as well, it's the first time in the Europa Conference League for the New Saints as well, the Welsh side as well. They lost 2-0 against Fiorentina as well, 65th and 69th minute as well. Fiorentina completely dominant, by the way, just completely dominant. I'm actually surprised it wasn't even more than that, to be fair as well. But yeah, a dominant display by Fiorentina as well. And then Chelsea was the other. Oh, actually, there's 2 more sides actually involved in this. Hearts won a late winner against Dinamo Minsk. If you wanted that, do not play its Heart in Minsk. It took part in Azerbaijan. But a 2-1 victory for Hearts. Shamrock Rovers is the Irish side also involved. 1-1 draw over April, not bad, but also red card involved in that. And Chelsea got off to a winning start in the Europa Conference League as well. They're the match on this weekend. They won 4-2. A late winner, or a late goal for Ormi Garman for 4-2, but it was a decent result for Chelsea. I think they'll take that as well. It's a very good result. Overall, should we talk about what's coming up in the Premier League this weekend? Because I believe it's the last one for the international break as well. No sort of really big matches this weekend in terms of Big Six versus Big Six. Sort of quieter one before the international break, over 2 days. But the ones that televised matches, Crystal Palace and Liverpool at 12:30 on Saturday. The pick of the 3 o'clocks for me: Arsenal, Southampton, Man City, Fulham, as well. The 5:30 Telegraph game on Saturday Football. Sky is Everton, Newcastle. And then the other matches, there are 3 matches on Sunday: Aston Villa, Manchester United on Sunday, Chelsea, Nottingham Forest, as well, and then Brighton, Tottenham end of the Premier League weekend, and the last one before the second international break of the season at 4:30 as well. So yeah, that is the Premier League action ahead of this weekend.
That's all your football action. Now it's time to move on and do the quickie on the motorsport forefront now. I'm going to go over the I haven't watched this for a little while yet, but I did watch the other week. NASCAR Cup Series now, obviously playoff contention. In the Cup Series race, of course, we had a huge race at the other weekend. Bristol, Carl Larson taking the win in that one. And then Chase Elliott. And the most recent one was the Hollywood Casino 400. Ross Chastain won that one as well. Obviously, it's playoff contention now. So obviously, we have 16 drivers in the draw for the final parts of the series. This is our playoff contention is looking so far, and the terms of the cup line to be applied, obviously, if, say, drivers do not take it. So cumulative stats will be 36 points. The regular championship season will also end as well. And then we have the bonus for the 16 drivers to get in. Zach, what was your takeaways? from the latest NASCAR race?
Yeah, definitely. I obviously very important race as well in Kansas last time. Is it Kansas last time around? Yeah, well, actually, it was Kansas last time around. Actually, with Ross Chastain winning that one, a very important victory for him as well. So yeah, it was really important. But obviously, he's not in the playoffs, so that doesn't count. So that means that there's no automatic um, um, promotion to the next round. So it's going to be fending them all on themselves. This is the second race, I believe, before the second race out of 3 again as well. So William Byron at the moment is leading on points ahead of Ryan Blaney. Now, Byron and Blaney ended up going up 3 positions. The Kyle Larson went down 3, and Alex Bowman went up 5 positions this time as well. So it'll be to get through to the next round, you have to be in the top 8. At the moment, it looks like Tyler Reddick, Daniel Suarez, Chase Briscoe, and Austin Cindric are the ones that are in danger at the moment. But it's still tight. It is still very tight at the top as well. And as you mentioned, we're going to Talladega, the ultimate super speedway, this time round, where the big ones, crashes, flips, bumper to bumper racing happens as well. It's going to be exciting, and everything could happen at Talladega, the super speedway that people do fear.
It's going to be an interesting race. Yellowwood 500, one of the fastest oval tracks in America. We then have Talladega, and then on the 13th, we go to Charlotte Road Course. That is not the oval, that is the road course. That's not the Coca-Cola 600 race. It is, of course, the road course, the infield circuit, which obviously bypasses a couple of chicanes on the main oval track itself. That will be a road course race on an oval built track. And that will be an important playoff race. It's always one of the most important races of the year, Charlotte. But that's taking place on the 13th of October. Moving on now to some news from F1 now. I want to cover a couple of stories because even though technically we're not racing, we have some news this week. Obviously, Alpine, Renault no longer going to be making engines, I think, from 2026 as well. And what I also learned this week as well, Red Bull Racing claimed that they wanted to sack Christian Horner earlier. No, not Christian. Daniel Ricciardo earlier than what they originally planned to intend to do after the Spanish Grand Prix, which I thought was absolutely absurd, given that Red Bull brought him back to try and get an F1 drive and then made a mess of it because they wanted him out after a poor run of form. Well, I have been very vocal about this, actually, because, there's been a lot of departures from Red Bull. Will Courtney's now going to join McLaren as a sporting director. Hannah Smith is probably now going to go to chief strategist or head of race strategy at Red Bull. Zach, Red Bull really is a management crisis at the moment, with loads of Team X people leaving, and their racing driver basically nearly even been shown the door earlier than he expected to.
Yeah, it was quite a really interview. I think it was Helmut Marko that suggested that Daniel Ricciardo was given the boot after Barcelona, but I think he was pushed back on that, thankfully, as well. There's a lot of staff that are leaving Red Bull at the moment to go to other competitors as well. It is hotting up, and the race to get Red Bull engineers and all that sort of thing as well. But key staff leaving is obviously not great for Red Bull. Obviously, they may get replacements in, but yeah, it's not good for someone your key players in the team are leaving. We've had Adrian Newey leave as well. We've got just so many key figures leaving at the moment. It's not really that brilliant at this stage. The other surprising bit of news, well, not really surprising, but the other news that's sort of open secret in the F1 paddock, is that Alpine are going to become a customer team from 2026, and they're no longer going to be using Renault engines. Renault's involvement in F1 is going to be ending before 2026 as well, when the new regulations come in. So that's obviously a shame. But obviously, I'm surprised because Alpine are obviously affiliated with Renault in some ways or another, because the Renault is just they're the sports brand of it. But the news is that obviously they're going to become a customer team from 2026. Is a fascinating road they're going to go on. Whether they make the team much better, I do not know. It is very risky. The understanding is potentially they are going to use Mercedes engines from 2026, which is, again, it's surprising given the fact Alpine's affiliated with Renault normally, but if you're going to go around the customer team route, you're going to change that as well. It's surprising as well. Their performance have been mixed this season, Alpine. But yeah, I'm surprised by this move, but also it was an open secret as well that they're going to change. So yeah, Renault leaving their association with Formula One in 2026 is obviously sad. But obviously we also have other manufacturers opening up and joining the party in 26 as well.
Including the return of Honda to Aston Martin. I'm going to be very interested to see how they get on with the Aston Martin partnership as well. Do you know, with Alpine, with Renault, I mean, yeah, they're not well known for their most reliable engines in F1. They used to blow up in Red Bulls at times. When I was watching season reviews the other day. But yeah, I have to say, this year for Alpine's been a pretty dreadful year, really, at the moment. Not really any great results. The car was like a truck in the first part of the year. Yes, I'm referencing an Alain Prost quote when he got fired from Ferrari, but it's just been dreadful. They had no development, a lack of spare parts, a lack of development. Loads of team principals have got another one in Oliver Oaks. I mean, goodness me, how many team principals can that team go through in a single season? It's just crazy. They don't even last a year with a team principal or sporting director. So, yeah. Certainly they need to sort their washing machine style management out. So that's all I'm going to say on that one. That is the end there of the sporting news this week. As well, now it's time for a couple of things on Conversation Street this week. Now, last week, me and Zach we're going to talk about this now. We attended a careers fair last week. At a country park in Pitsea. Yes, it was an SEN's careers fair. It was hosted by Carston School. Thank you so much to all the staff and everyone who volunteers who attended. Thank you, of course, to Michelle Belsey, who was the one organising this event from Carston School, and also to Essex Police, Morgan and Sindel. Charlie Brain was also a member of that, attending, and also as well some other people that were attending. Jason Baker as well, who's one of the job coaches in the sport internship, was there, and also as well a few other people as well. Lisa, people's surnames. Any of you watching the show tonight? Thank you to all of you guys who actually commented. Thank you for all you guys for attending last week. Great to catch up with you. Lisa Bennett, that was her name. So, yeah, obviously you've supported internship. There's so many people. Thank you to all of you guys for attending. You know, great to see the volunteers there. Have a chat about careers. Obviously, pathways. There was even a nightclub there. Lily Rose was there as well. I went there today to have dinner. But basically, there was even a nightclub there called Freedom for Special Needs at Potworld in Southend. I was like, I went upstairs and I was like, I showed some people upstairs and there was a nightclub up there, and I was like, maybe we could get I'm doing myself, guys. I'm not a particularly great DJ. I'm only beginning, but that's somewhere where maybe a DJ gig could take place. Okay. Yeah, no, it was a great event. Obviously, Zach, you were there with obviously adult community learning, obviously business that you do friendship. What was the event like last week? I bet the vibe must have been really, really important. I bet the vibes were buzzing with energy.
It was great. It was brilliant to attend. Yeah, it was really fascinating, and it was great meeting loads of people, different people who are sort of, students, parents, special needs students as well. They're looking for paths, advice, future careers ahead of them after they've left education, or even the adults if they wanted to not really got a job, or if they really wanted to look for something and see if there's anything that did their interest as well. We offered the ACL challenge. So if you wonder what that was, it was basically turning this 2D like fiddly thing into a 3D cube and everything like that. You have to do all this, like you know, all these Rubik's cubes that you sort of have to do, but it's not quite a Rubik's cube.
Yeah.
But something like that. We did obviously lots of young children were attracted to that, and unsurprisingly so. But yeah, it was great, and I saw quite a lot of
And we
familiar
had
faces.
politicians arrive as well.
We had politicians arrive, and I will obviously let everyone know this as well. And as much as embarrassing it is for me to let everyone know this, I even shook the hand to have a conversation with Mark Francois, the MP, for Raleigh and Wickford. Now, good news is we didn't discuss politics. We did not discuss politics at all. Otherwise, that would have been all about war between us. So thank goodness for that. But,
I could tell. I told someone at the event about that. I know.
Thanks a lot.
I was like, oh,
you're trying to
Mark
out me to
Francois
the
here, is he
politicians.
going to be Conservative Party all destroyed now or something?
Thanks for outing me on that one. But yeah, yeah, it was a nice civil chat with him. We talked about what our business offers, what the organisation I work at offers, what I think, how I think it's important as well. It's a good civil chat. But it was also nice, I think, for me as well to be, as well as persuading people to join our courses and sign up for our apprenticeships as well. It was also very nice to see so much familiar faces that I haven't seen since college and school.
Yeah, exactly.
As well, I haven't seen it for 4 years. Most of these people as well. So it was really nice, and I saw a few like familiar students that I knew as well. Goodness me, I mean, 4 years ago, you would have think they would have all gone by now, but actually, some of them were really nice to see. Some had really changed. I mean, in a good way, but like some have really changed, and I really, it was just nice catching up with everybody as well. But yeah, it was a great event just for everybody. If you've got special needs children or all that sort of thing, it's a great place to sort of mingle and find your future potentially as well. And yeah, it was really lots of people there, so it was really great to see a fabulous attendance despite obviously the weather. It was all indoors. But it was fabulous to see, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
We both drove down there as well, even better. That's a life skill, driving. Certainly, we took the cars down. Obviously,
everyday thing for me. Most of it, most of it's like 3 times a week. It's a 3 times a week thing for me. But it's just regular. I've been doing it for 2 years, so I mean, I've been driving for 2 years.
Was certainly on the agenda for your party a few weeks ago. That's now been removed. But all I can say is, I actually met an MP as well. Yes, it was someone that I voted in. It was James McMurdoch, obviously the MP for South Basel East Party Reform UK's MP. Unfortunately, that went a little bit in a different direction because unfortunately, I propped it up as a little bit of a campaign visit. When I mentioned hostages Sir Keir Starmer referencing hostages to slaughter sausages, and James said to me, I know. I'm sorry to hear he massively slipped up there, didn't he? It's not been a great week for Keir. So, and then I asked, is Nigel here today? And he was like, oh no, Nigel hasn't attended. I know.
Oh God! Can you imagine? Imagine if he attended. God, I might have been run out of the building. But yeah, I for the record, I didn't speak to him. He didn't come across. I don't think I saw him come across by. But I don't know. I would have hid behind the wall if Nigel Farage turned up. That would be like literally my worst nightmare if he was there. But then again, I was in Southend for the Clacton Air Show. And he was in America at the time, so thank goodness he was. God Almighty, if he did even turn up there, I would have been behind those banners definitely.
Oh man, do you know what? I was buzzing till Farage turned up. I was like, I was looking around, finding obviously his party was there, one of his MPs that got voted in, and it's interesting. It was a bit of a campaign visit. I do apologise that it was a campaign. Obviously, we did talk to him about the event as well. But I have to say though, in this careers fair, this is a yearly thing that happens, and it's the only one in Essex for special needs students, fair needs students. It's why it's so important. If you've got special needs, I've been autistic for years, and it's so important just to actually see the opportunities available. Whether it's jobs organisations, you know, places that can take you on the right career path. I mean, even Adult Community Learning are a very important organisation I'd recommend as well. You know, and also as well the police. The police were there as well. Essex Police. So you want to talk about being a police officer, Construction, Morgan Sindall. There's so many companies I'd recommend, and also as well, this event Zach wasn't. I just don't think open for like young adults, like particularly students and young adults. This was open to everyone. I feel like you can go here and learn so much. I'm going to try and attend more careers fairs in the future, even if I'm working, just to get an idea of these things, because this is networking, something you can really build up on, and even getting a stall in the future would be a really good achievement.
Absolutely. I'm sure, like those who want to put a stall in, got a decent opportunity. I mean, it's great to see the amount of tents there anyway. We always want more. So yeah, get out there, get promote yourself.
Exactly. A huge thank you to everyone last week. It was a huge honour to go, and I hope to go every year because this is a great event. It's a fantastic event for the local community. Also, you said, what side of Country Park in Pitsea. So yes, that's all I'm going to say on that. Now, in terms of actual Conversation Street tonight, right, we're going to go into business now and talk about something very, very important this week. Now, this is going to be about, well, I'm going to talk about radio this week. And, okay, radio is always, yes, I used to work on a radio station, and, radio is certainly an important thing that has become interesting. But I want to talk to you guys this week here in the UK about something that has been recently given a nomination in terms of a couple of newses. So the first one, Express FM have been shortlisted for Station of the Year award. This is one of the first bit of news that I'm going to mention. Express FM Radio. They've been the community radio station has been apparently, according to this, it's been a heart community for 2 decades, and a team of dedicated presenters, should I say, radio presenters, has been recognised for incredible work. Portsmouth-based station has been shortlisted prestigious award in UK community radio. Is now going up against one of the best in the country. This is a community radio station down in Portsmouth that was given a shortlisting award as well. Express FM have been obviously nominated as well. You can see all the team there at the radio station as well. It works hard with volunteers as well. The awards were established to showcase the knowledge that hard work goes into running a community radio station. This year, the award ceremony will take place on November the 16th in Cardiff. Zach, what do you make to this news story here?
Absolutely. I think it's always good to see that a recognition of radio stations throughout the year, especially local ones. I think it's important to realise community radio is brilliant for areas and regions to get involved and get opportunities on there as well. And yeah, I think it's great to see lots of different radio stations as well, especially Express FM being noted for Station of the Year as well. It's good to see a variety of narratives and mix involved, and I think it's just great to see that recognition. We know local radio, national radio, they're there to serve one way or the other, and I think it's great and fabulous to see this being recognised throughout the UK, and doing well.
Well done to Express Radio, FM Radio there.
Cool.
And the final bit of news, local news now. I feel like local news should be covered a lot more. I feel like news stations cover local news more. It is really important. I think that it's important to cover local news. Let's go on in some more news locally now, which is really important. So in some local news this week around the local area, I want to talk about some news that I think really is important. Now, in some news, over the last week. It has been announced that I find this again an absolutely vile story, but I'm going to talk about this. An 85-year-old South Essex peddler, an 85-year-old Canvey man has been jailed for sexually abusing 2 young girls. Stuart Hart of Seaway, Canvey, appeared in Balsam Crown Court today, where he was jailed for multiple offences, of which happened over a 10-year period. Investigation to Hart was launched in May 2022 after Essex Police revealed details of multiple offences against sexual abuse of young girls. 85, Zach, for this case? That's a huge crime.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's over a 10-year period, but so he, slightly committed, not really when he was 85, a bit younger than that, but what's a perv? Someone who's now 85 committing sexual offence against young girls. Ew. I mean, ew, just yuck. What a perv. How disgusting. What a miserable old man. And what a disgusting man. What a sad person as well. I don't know at this sort of age, you should be enjoying the old life. Getting up to, enjoying the little things that enjoy yourself. Just like sitting down, have a cup of tea and that sort of thing as well. Not going around, giving it with the girls and trying to touch them up and do inappropriate things with them. It's just genuinely disgusting. What this man's done, and yeah, show him the door, show him the bar, show them the door. Really, it's disgusting.
Yeah, it's not ideal at all. So that's all I'm going to say on that one. And finally, as well, before we move on and do the musical interlude, Zach, Liam Gallagher made an appearance the other week. Forgot to cover this on the other week show. Liam Gallagher made an appearance at the Anthony Joshua boxing fight. Obviously, Oasis go on tour, potentially go on tour next year due to tickets. There's been a bit of rivalry between the two brothers. Noel's fan Liam's performance. Some fans have claimed Liam's performance wasn't great the other week. What did you take away from it?
I thought it was fine. It was a nice way for sort of the fans to sort of see a part of Oasis without getting stuck in all the queues before the actual Oasis thing starts next year. I mean, the Oasis have actually expanded their tour. Actually, it's going to take place across North America, Mexico now, and other countries. Which I suppose, if you're a fan of Oasis worldwide, is great to see. But it wasn't. I don't think it was bad as people were slamming out to be. It wasn't the best, but I thought it was okay. But yeah, I suppose it's a preview of what we're going to see next year when Oasis finally reunite as Lowell and Liam get together again. I mean, whether that's if they don't have an argument backstage again, then one of them goes missing. So yeah, hopefully you want to see it, and then you get to see it.
Well, that's that news story done. Now it's time for the musical interlude. This week is a new record, and it's by Craig David, ladies and gentlemen. The latest single by the King of Pop. You put not King, what, the King of R&B more like. Do you know this one? The new single that was released last Friday. You might know the chorus to this one. It's very sacrilegious, so I feel like the sample kind of makes do for this. It's In Your Hands. See you in a few minutes' time.
got the whole world in your hands. You 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 got the whole world in your hands.
That was Craig David L, the new single "In Your Hands" that released last Friday. Zach, what do you make of this? I bet the chorus came in very handy there.
I've actually seen people compare it to a chorus that you hear when you're in the middle of school to assembly. It sounds a bit harsh, but yeah, that's what some people compare it to. I actually think it's a very different song to what Craig David's actually been doing. His stuff in R&B and sometimes a bit of dance as well recently. This one's proper like county vibes and everything like that as well, pop county vibes. So yeah, it's very different. It's enjoyable, but I mean the chorus is basic, but it's memorable in whatever way you want to remember it as well. So yeah, it's very interesting.
What's your flavour? I think next week we'll certainly get a different one on. I thought I played a new single. It's not my favourite one by him, but he still has a great voice. Maybe we should put "What's Your Flavour" on or something. I feel like maybe going back to that time with that era would be better. But anyway, guys, your flavour will be served up tonight when we do the newspaper review. We've got some headlines to review, haven't we, tonight? Let's get on with it. Let's talk about the papers. I've read some of the headlines. They look very interesting. We have got, in the headlines this week, some important ones, which include the Times going with Prime Minister defies US to cede the Chagos Islands to Mauritius despite warnings, powerful potential benefits to China. The Daily Mirror goes making special memories with Kate. Amazing 16-year-old Liz, MP, to be given a historic vote on legislation of assisted dying. Actually, that's an interesting nomination there. That's The Guardian, Daily Mail, Starmer surrender for that as well. Daily Express, I never thought I'd ever be alive to see law change, but perhaps I will. Comes as Esther Ranson's optimistic that assisted dying legislation following the MP's commitment to induce a bill with a free vote on the reform being highly anticipated. The Daily Star, one of the most powerful sunbursts for years will hit tomorrow. Brace yourself. Huge fair send phones and Wi-Fi bonkers. I'm not getting involved with that, thank you. The Daily Telegraph, Boris Johnson claims UK needs a referendum on the European Court of Human Rights, the ECHR, after illegal immigrants continue to cross the channel at record rates. The eye goes for US President Biden's statements about potential Israeli actions on Iran facilities have increased global tensions, causing a surge of oil price, raising concerns over energy imports. In fact, interestingly, that I go for a bit of a critical view on Biden this week. Interesting. Metro, poison jab murder plot by doctor in disguise. Zach, what do you make to the latest newspaper headlines?
Yeah, there's a variety of headlines today. Let's do the let's do the Times and the Mail. Let's just see if anyone else. No, yeah, Times and the Mail. They go on the story about the Chagos Islands. Now, if you don't know what the Chagos Islands are, as well, I'll give you some background on this. The Chagos Islands is an island near in the Indian Ocean, 500 kilometers from the Maldives as well. It's been there's been a dispute over who has sovereignty over the Chagos Islands, either UK or Mauritius. I don't know how to pronounce that one. But today, the UK has announced that they've done a deal with Mauritius to hand sovereignty of the Chagos Islands to Mauritius. Actually, this is a disputed bit of territory that they've had as well, and so this agreement ends that dispute as well, and it hands over to Mauritius as well. There has been some criticism about this from some groups. I know that the Times news, the Times front page is a little bit misleading actually. because the US actually welcomed this deal between the UK and the Mauritius actually as well. Now, the reason why the US is interested in this is because the UK and the US have got an airbase on there, and there'll be a question about who would own the airbase whilst Mauritius, gets that territory back. The answer would be that the US and UK would own that airbase for the next 99 years. So that's a question far away now that they put out of the way. But there have been criticism from some corners about this deal, especially the Tory side of it, where James Cleverly owned the deal. Although, funny enough, James Cleverly was in the department, the Foreign Office, which started negotiation about this in 2022. And I have to remind myself who was Foreign Secretary at the time that this negotiation with Mauritius started. Oh yeah, I remember the person that ran the Foreign Office department when this came up, and has now criticised the bill despite the fact he was involved in this negotiation, was James Cleverly. Now he slagged off the agreement today. So did Tom Tugendhat. So did all the Tory leadership contenders as well. I mean, I don't understand the fuss about this. Actually, this is a country. This is actually an island that, according to the ECHR, the UK had occupied illegally. So, and in fact, there were some rules on this as well. So, yeah, I think giving up the island is probably the right thing to do. There's some good agreements in there as well. So, yeah, I don't see the problem with it, personally, if you ask me. The Daily Mail is Starmer's surrender. The Chagos Islands have been belonged to Britain since 1814, including a street vital Diego Garcia military base. Yesterday, a deal condemning shameful and dangerous police and Labour agreed to hand them the Mauritius, which lies 1,300 away, and is a loyal ally of China. So that's their perspective. I mean, yeah, there's just legitimate problems there, but the thing is, right, okay, it's not their island anymore. I mean, it's the UK occupied illegally, according to the ECHR. And I don't know why there's a massive old culture war over this. I mean, it's not. I've never heard of these islands up until now, and yet it's somehow a big deal to some people. They're doing front pages over it. I just think it's pathetic, if you ask me. It's just another silly little culture war they're trying to wage over. So yeah, that's the Times and the Mail's front page on this. The Mirror goes to the royal perspective. This is a teenager who's got a rare form of cancer, making special memories with Kate. Has shared a cancer experience of meeting the Princess of Wales, expressing the encounter and the creation of cherished memories that are of paramount importance to her. I mean, it's brilliant to see that, two cancer people are meeting with each other. One's obviously got it at the moment, to both of them got at the moment, but it just encourages people to just come out, to tell the stories, and it's great that one of them has been so inspired to meet Kate, obviously. Kate Middleton, and yeah, it's brilliant to see as well. I just wish this, teenager really well. Liz Hatton is her name as well. As my treatment isn't likely to work, I may as well fill my life with good experiences. And yeah, absolutely. She's gonna die young, unfortunately, but she make the most out of it, as I say as well. The Guardian. MPs to give an historic vote on the legalisation of assisted dying. This is a private members' bill that Kim Leadbeater is bringing forward very shortly. That would allow the legislation of assisted dying in some circumstances, potentially allowing terminally ill adults the choice of ending their life with great dignity and control. And that's the same line that headline on the sort of Express. They have an interview with Esther Ranford, who's actually the advocate that is assisting for a change of law to allow assisted dying as well. So this would be a free vote in the Commons. So it means there'll be no MPs on the front bench can defy the leadership if they wanted to. It's a free vote. They can vote with their conscience. This is a private members' bill, and I have a feeling this will be talked down by some MPs as possibly as well. But having this go through the Commons at least allows you to have an opinion of the House. And if there is a willingness for MPs to do it, that, it would happen. And that'd be great. I really would like to see, I think for a sensitive issue, my view on this is that I think in some cases, I know it's uncomfortable for some people, and I really understand the feeling of some people from both sides here. I think, if we allow ourselves abortion, that sort of thing, I feel like if we're going to have to put a fellow through an illness that is going to kill us anyway, I feel like we have a right to, not suffer that as well. So, yeah, I understand some things on the side of this, but yeah, it's an important issue as well. Now we've got 4 more papers to do. The Daily Star. Brace yourself, Bessie. Huge solar flare could send phones and Wi-Fi bonkers. One of the most powerful sunbursts for years will hit Earth tomorrow. Okay, I hope my Wi-Fi is working tomorrow. I really do. I don't want my phone to be affected that badly. As well. That'd be the last thing that I want to be well. A significant solar flare expected to impact Earth, potentially disrupting phones and Wi-Fi connectivity. Well, I'll know that if the internet goes off my work tomorrow. So who knows? It may or may not. The Telegraph is doing a promotion for Boris Johnson because Boris Johnson's memoir is coming out very shortly, and he is doing the media rounds. He's done an interview with the Telegraph. He's doing a TV interview tomorrow via TV. Now, embarrassingly enough, he was supposed to do an interview with BBC this evening. Unfortunately, Laura Kuenssberg accidentally sent her briefing notes to Mr. Johnson himself, so the interview was cancelled. What an extraordinary development that was. I mean, very unprofessional as well for journalists to leak their briefing notes to the person they're interviewing. Very, very weird as well. But he's calling for an interview for a referendum on the ECHR. God almighty. I haven't really had enough referendums in the last few years than on the ECHR now. A very hot topic as well. But the majority opinion of that appears to be, they want to stay at the moment. But Johnson is probably in the Leave camp as well. He said, Reform PM says strong case for public vote on human rights. I mean, yeah. This feels like the new Brexit for me. As well, but yeah, I mean, it's extraordinary. This debate having this as well on it. 2 more to do. The does energy price scare after Biden said Israel could attack Iranian oil. But yeah, it's possible that Israel could do that as a retaliatory measure. I mean, the oil prices went up because of that. I mean, it would increase the oil price if Iranian oil was attacked. Let's just be honest about that. It could go up to where Ukraine levels was as well, and that would obviously increase inflation as well, and all sorts of things. But it may be necessary as a way for Israel to retaliate. I mean, Israel could, strike the nuclear facilities. It could start the Iranian oil as well, and yeah, it's all possible. I would, if I was me, I'll let Israel do it because, quite frankly, it's suitable deterrence against Iran as well. And the final paper to do as well is the Metro poison jab murder plot by doctor in disguise. A doctor is accused of attempting to fatally inject his estranged partner with toxic substance. My God! Allegedly using a false beard in disguise to gain access in a plot motivated by inheritance. I mean, I'm surprised he even tried to do that sort of thing. I mean, it looks so fake. It looks... I could do better than that. If I was trying to do something really evil and murderous myself, I could do better than looking like that mug.
It is a weird mugshot, isn't it? You can see.
What? It's just a lazy attempt. I could look better than that. And I'm glad sort of the plan failed because it's ridiculous what he was trying to do as well. I just can't believe it. I mean, putting substances and disguising yourself as a doctor. Oh, it ends off a very grim evening on the papers, by the way, which that was for the 4th of October. And I think we should stop talking about people being killed and done by substances now, because I think we've had enough of it today.
Yeah, well, certainly we've had a lot of news, and there'll be more news coming up late next week on the show as well. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I've been Charlie and Zach. This is the Tonight Show podcast live on YouTube. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again next time for another edition of the show. Take care and good night.